The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Quirkydog Podcast, inspired by some of the quirkiest dogs you can ever imagine and the owners who love them. This podcast is brought to you by the quirky couple themselves, Scott and Jess Williams. Their aim is to educate and entertain. Here's Scott and Jess.
Welcome, guys, and happy Wednesday. I'm super excited to bring this episode to you today. Everybody knows that we're pretty big into holistic treatments for whatever we can find for our animals. And I don't know, a few months ago, I put up this post about like, hey, what's everybody's favorite holistic buzz this year? And I found out about these new collars. They're EM collars, which is short for Effective Microorganisms. And I have the owner of the Natural Dawg Shop here today to discuss these collars with you. We have Lisa Zilney in from Pennsylvania. But first, we're going to start with the Quirky Tip of the day. All right. See, I remembered. Sometimes with a guest, I get a little crazy. The Quirky Tip of the day is if you are not familiar with these collars, I was fortunate enough to get some that arrived before we even filmed this podcast. We'll get more into that as we get more into the interview with Lisa. But if you're not familiar with these EM collars, please check them out. The URL will be in the description of the show notes, so you can order them online. Lisa actually does some vending, mostly in New England kind of areas, but you can see her at a show. Check these out. They're super cool. I hear the Canadians are all about them, and I normally love whatever the Canadians love. So without further ado, we're going to welcome Lisa on. This is Lisa Zilney from Pennsylvania, owner of the Natural Dawg.
How you doing, Lisa?
Thanks so much for having me, guys.
Thanks so much for coming on. And I should mention that it's dog, D-A-W-G, for anybody listening, not D-O-G. So tell us a little bit how this came to be and how long you've been doing it. Just a little bit about your origin here with this company.
Well, it was sort of by accident, to be perfectly honest, the business.
All the best things are.
I've been using these collars for a few years on my own dogs, and I've been ordering them from Canada.
Okay.
My one dog, she's an elk hound. She's 13 years old, and she has a negative reaction to anything chemical.
Okay.
Lethargy, leg quivering. So I came across these collars, and lots of folks in Canada use them. They use them in Europe too, but it just wasn't a thing here in the U.S. Last year, when I contacted the woman to order collars, though, her backlog was really, really bad. So I had to wait like 2 months.
That's the whole season.
Right. I didn't wait till the last minute, And so I said, okay, I'm going to just take matters into my own hands here, order. I look at the collars. I'm like, I could probably figure this out. So I ordered the ceramics from the Netherlands and ordered some paracord, and, off I went making the collars. But I had more supplies than I needed for my own 2 dogs. So then I posted them on my Facebook and asked if some friends wanted me to make some stuff. And it just sort of spiraled from there. I'm sort of the type of person that, takes things to the extreme once they start.
Well, no, and it's great because I know ordering things that I want to get from Canada, also the shipping is different too, right? So now they're shipping. Well, it can be tricky. I'm like writing people, is it clear? Is everything all set? So now you can actually order these within the U.S. and get them shipped right from Pennsylvania. Are there other people manufacturing these in the States right now also, do you know, or mostly just you?
Maybe one other person.
Okay.
I think. For the most part, they come from Canada. You can also, like, if you look on Etsy, you'll find people shipping them from France or the Netherlands as well.
Okay.
So most of the stuff comes out of country.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for being our American representative. I'm excited. So When I ordered them, they had adjustable and non-adjustable. Can you explain the differences a bit and what people kind of prefer with that?
So the type of collar you're going to order, it totally depends on your dog.
Okay.
Right. So the adjustable ones I have one here, have these little dangly pieces.
Okay.
It sort of hangs like a necklace down on the dog. And if you have, a younger dog or a naughty dog that's going to reach down and chew on these, or if you have a dog that's going to chew on the collar that the other dog has on, this is going to be the best idea for you.
If they eat the ceramic, it's less effective, right?
Yeah, that's not the way to go with the ceramics.
That's not the point of the ceramics.
But at the same time, it's not toxic. So that sort of brought up a legitimate question because some people ask about that. So the adjustable ones are the better choice, in my opinion, for most dogs that aren't going to be naughty with them. And one of the reasons that is because it will release on its own if the dog gets the collar caught on something.
Okay. Nice.
So some folks don't like to leave collars on their dogs when they're not in the house.
Yeah.
So that's the benefit of these adjustable ones, that it'll just pull.
Okay.
And the dog will be able to get out of the collar.
Nice. Yeah. So do you recommend that people kind of put them on early in tick season and just leave them on all throughout, or only during the day, or only for hikes, or what's your recommendation for wear?
So it's sort of like what the Wonderside collar and the Seresto collar, the idea is you're supposed to wear it as often as you can.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And I personally, given the research on ticks and their, inability to die over the winter, I leave them on all year round.
Okay. And I would say that's a good way to go. We're filming this episode in August because we're heading into another heavy tick season. I mean, New England, a lot of great stuff about New England, but the spring and the fall, I'm pulling ticks off our friggin' dogs all the time. And, I could go with something that's going to kill ticks on contact, or an oral, and I know a lot of people go with that method, and I respect that. This isn't a flex that we don't use those types of products. But the pros and the cons for us, we use Sentinel for heartworm, and then we try to be as holistic as frickin' possible with the flea and tick stuff. So I'm super excited to try these. I'm going to put them on the dogs as soon as possible, and I'll leave them on throughout the season, in addition to other stuff, right? Like, this doesn't have to limit other holistic stuff that you may use.
No, it absolutely does not. I mean, I use a holistic spray on my dogs when we go hiking. In really heavy tick season, they'll sometimes have a Wonderside collar on with it.
Yep.
Or Only Natural Pet makes a tag.
Okay.
That I'll sometimes put on the collar for them. You're wanting to minimize the likelihood of tick involvement any way you can. So, and ticks are really bad in a lot of areas of the country. So I absolutely double up in protections.
Yeah. How about actually putting something on this collar? Like, if I had an essential oil or whatever, am I going to change the efficacy if I put something on this?
So that's a no-no.
Okay.
You don't want any chemicals on the collar.
Okay, good. Okay, I'm glad I asked.
So if you spray them, you just want it away from the area of the neck where the collar's on.
Okay.
Same thing if they swim in a chlorinated pool, you want to take the collar off.
Okay. All right. And then if people do use things like an oral, something like Bravecto or something else, is it unsafe to use your EM collars in addition to that?
No, it's not unsafe.
Okay. All right. So this would just be another backup. But it is okay, you're saying, because I actually bought the Wonderside collars this summer too. I could hike with your collar and the Wonderside collar next to each other without an issue, as long as I'm not putting something on your collar.
Yes.
Okay, great. So you had a question about the heat. You were saying something about the heating up of the ceramic, and you just wondered how...
Well, I was reading the description of how they're made, and so you have these effective microorganisms mixed into the ceramic before it's fired, right?
Yes.
So when it's fired, it's like 2,000 degrees when it's fired. How does that make them effective if they've been cooked to the point of oblivion? That's what, and then these give off an infrared of some kind. I think I read correctly. Is that? That's really that's what repels the insect, the tick, is this infrared. Am I describing that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. So what does the microorganisms do within the ceramic after it's been fired? How does that all work? I'm just not clear on it.
So I'll say first off, I am not a scientist.
Okay.
Neither are we. Don't worry. We're all set.
I am not a biologist or anything fancy like that. I am a social scientist.
Okay.
So totally different thing. So my knowledge of this comes from, reading the research, evaluating anecdotal evidence, and my personal experience with using them.
Okay.
Right. So, can I explain to you exactly how the heat makes this work? No.
Okay.
Right. And you guys probably know from doing work on other holistic stuff that it's not something that's studied a lot.
Yes. Yeah. If there's not going to be big money behind it, who's going to study it?
Yeah. It's not a prescription.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are a couple studies that have been done that show how microorganisms can work with the environment and your dog to alter how parasites respond.
Okay.
Right.
it's a small number of studies.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right? Yeah, am I going to run to the bank on those studies? No, but at the same time, there's not any studies being done.
Yeah, 100%. Well, and people, I mean, obviously they're getting more popular in Canada. It's not just this buzz thing. I mean, you can go order just, fashion collars very easily. So they're getting more popular. Sure. You're having clients come back to repurchase them. I mean, that people are seeing a difference, I would assume, or the market wouldn't be rising. Is that true?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not questioning whether or not they actually repel ticks. I was just curious as to how it works because if, they're selling them in the Netherlands, I guess they were created there. They're big in Canada. People are using them. All these people would, if they weren't working, I mean, with social media the way it is, you'd be getting a lot of, not you, but the company, the methodology behind it would be getting heat. They'd be, this is just BS. It's not working,
Yeah. No, I think it's interesting. And it's a lot of this microorganism stuff and this microbiome stuff, it's very connected, right? Our dogs' GI systems and if they're having loose stool and how they're, dealing with stress. And tick-borne illness is not fun. Like, you do not want to be dealing with a hardcore tick-borne illness. And as anyone knows who has friends or family or previous dogs that have had tick-borne illnesses, they can often go undiagnosed for a bit too, right? Like, you send out that full panel and part of you's crossing your fingers, it's tick-borne, part of you's not, but there's no clear-cut path for really serious tick-borne. I know dogs that have had to take Doxy every day the rest of their lives. I mean, it can be really intense and there can be a lot of negative effects. So if this is going to help and be cute in the meantime, why not? I'm all about it.
Well, and one thing I wanted to say is that even when you use the poisons, you still come pulling ticks off your dogs. I mean, there's still dogs. They have to actually get embedded into the dog's skin.
Or there's dead
them.
ticks falling off your dogs, and that just doesn't sit right with me. I mean, it's good. Okay, good. It didn't catch the dog, but why did it die when it, bit my dog's skin? That concerns me.
What about? I mean, I would think you could put these on kids too because it's not a poison. Like we could put these on our ankles and go hiking in the woods theoretically.
Right. So I do make anklets and bracelets also.
Oh, cute.
For people, right?
Good.
For humans, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, got my bracelet on there.
Good.
So they are safe around kids. I've have customers order them for dogs that are pregnant.
Okay.
Because they're not wanting to use the chemicals on their dog. And I mean, the idea with the heat, I'll tell you, is that so theoretically they use this special clay. And the microorganisms are baked into the clay, like you said, at 1,200 degrees Fahrenheit. So really, really hot, which changes the structure of the clay. And so what the research says is that traps these effective microorganisms in these EM ceramics.
So they're more like concentrated almost because they're stuck in there and locked in there. I'm all about it. I mean, we're about as woo-woo as it comes to our dogs. Like, we're not judging. We're just trying to figure out. And I like it because the Wonderside collars are not this cute at all. I'm sorry. The Seresto collars, I have a hard time bringing myself there. I don't think that there's an issue with Serestos. A lot of people use them happily.
You read they were going to talking about pulling those.
Well, no, they're not going to pull them, but there was a study out that there was some stuff going on with them. But what I like about the Seresto collar versus the topical is it's not just in the dog system, right? Like, there's an issue, fine, let's take it off. And similar to this, like, if you're concerned that, this changed something, just take it off and it should be fine. But you're getting very little fallout, I would assume, from clients who are using these, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Much less than the pesticidal.
Like you said, it's not a foolproof plan, just like the Seresto collars and the topicals aren't.
Yeah.
So do I occasionally find ticks on the dogs? Yes.
Yeah.
And before I started using these, I was using Seresto and I found
still
ticks.
Find ticks. Yeah.
Except then I had, in my older dog, I had the negative effects of the chemicals as well.
Yeah.
So, it's really, each person has to weigh the pros and cons of how they're going to approach possibly their good dog getting a tick-borne disease, which, like you said, is dreadful.
Yeah, no, and sometimes it can be, fine. They test for anaplasmosis, their system clears it, great. Sometimes it can be like the dog barely made it and it's forever changed and we're just grateful it's still alive. So if you are used to dealing with tick-borne stuff and you like to lean into holistics, I would totally check these collars out. All right, we're going to go to break super quick, and when we get back, we're going to talk to Lisa a little bit more about her awesome collars.
Want to keep up with all the latest from the Quirkydog Podcast like me and Murphy here? Then make sure you head on over to the YouTube channel and subscribe. Or if you prefer to listen to the madness, go on over to iTunes or Spotify and follow the Quirkydog Podcast. And hey, while you're there, leave a rating and review and let them know what you think of the show. Until then, keep it quirky.
All right. Can you hear me? Are we back? Okay, good. Oh, wow, I'm not echoey. I sound, we're like having a conversation right in the same room as Lisa. All right, so we got 3 for our Border Collies, so I'm super excited to try these out. And I was really excited, the options, like colors, different beads, everything else. So explain to me a little bit about that, because obviously all of us girls, especially out there that order collars for our dogs, the more we can accessorize, the better. So explain to me.
Guys aren't allowed to accessorize?
Well, I don't think you would have gotten as excited. You would have said black. What's their measurement? Okay, go.
If I knew there was a bead selection, we may have had a different collar here, but I wasn't in on that part of it.
He's going to get a matching anklet with Jimmy maybe now. All right, so explain to me somewhat about the different options and stuff that people can get into.
There are tons of different color options because, especially in the dog sport world, every dog has a color. Color coordinated with everything. So there's more than 80 colors. There's a smaller paracord for dogs that are little.
Okay.
The larger paracord, for the Border Collies, larger dogs, or folks that just want a collar that's more prominent on the dog. Because they are cute.
Yeah, they are. I love them. They're super cute.
Colors.
Yeah, I love them. And then even the beads. So there were different options for the beads. So explain to us a little bit about that, just so people understand what they're ordering if they go to order.
So there's some glass beads, and those are all different color options that folks can do. I have silver beads. I have imitation pearls.
Okay. And those are mostly just for decoration. The ceramics are the ones that are really...
There's no dead organisms in the ceramics, right?
No, there's no dead organisms in the glass, he's saying. No, but really, but that's the case, right? Like I'm accessorizing when I do that, but the white ones are the ones that are fighting off the ticks.
Yes.
Ceramics, yeah.
Okay.
Except if you use like this friendship style one, which is just a slide closure.
Okay.
Then the purpose of the beads is so the ceramics don't hit each other.
Oh, I see.
And crack.
Right.
Okay. Oh, nice. Okay, I like that. So so mine were actually wrapped in with paracord in between the ceramic, it looks like. But you're saying that it's kind of all on one for the friendship thing. So that's something.
Yeah, for this one.
Yeah, so that's something that a lot of people could get that for their dog and then accessorize the same thing for, is it just ankles, or you would recommend the humans wear it on the wrist too?
You really only need one or the other.
Okay, yeah, you don't need to walk around like chained up, both hands, both legs.
No, you don't need that many.
Okay, great. And the humans, would you recommend that they keep it on as frequently as possible as well? Does it kind of have the same buildup, or is that a different situation?
The more you can wear it, the better.
Okay.
Some people even for the dogs take it off when their dogs play. If your dogs have a tendency to, pull on the collars, that sort of thing. But again, like the Wonder Side or the Seresto, in an ideal world, the more the dog wears it or the more the human wears the bracelet, the better.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what this reminds me of? I don't know. Are you familiar with these like hiking survivalist bracelets that are made out of paracord? So I've seen them, the same, the similar type of a weave or braid without the ceramic, of course. And it's just a little bracelet that a person would wear that's a hiker or, an outdoor person. And the whole point of it is that if you needed paracord, you take off your bracelet. No, really.
Now we're really going survivalist, but it's true.
That's what it's for. That's what it's for. They advertise it that way. It's like you can have 50 feet of paracord if you need it, but it's a bracelet.
Yep. Well, we're coming up with more and more success options.
So if you need to pull your dog up the side of a cliff, you take off their necklace.
Their collar,
Exactly.
You make a sling.
And less ticks on them during the survival process. Okay, so it says they last like almost a year, right? Like you're having people reorder how frequently? Just if somebody gets into these, the collars themselves, if somebody wants these for their dogs and they get excited and they order them, let's say they're going to order them for this upcoming fall tick season, should they re-up in the spring? How long would you, on average say that they last or they're the most effective?
So what folks are saying that use these are that they last 10 to 12 months.
Okay.
Which makes them super cheap.
Yeah, no, seriously. I was shocked. I was so excited.
But one of the things is it takes like 3 weeks for it to, acclimate with your dog's body. So for people who are reordering, I usually tell them to reorder at like the 10th or the 12th month. And then they keep both of them on until they can throw the old one away.
Okay, that makes sense. And even that's a good point to bring up. If you're reordering, maybe do your reorder in, the coldest part of the year right before we're going to head into it. How many weeks did you say it was? 10 weeks for it to acclimate? to the dog?
Three.
Three. So that's a good point to bring up. So just because you have it and you put it on, it doesn't mean that next hike it's going to be as effective as it would be the following month. And then the care was pretty easy too. Like you literally just wash it in warm water, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So you would recommend not putting these in a washing machine, I would assume.
You don't want any soap or anything like
it's
that.
The same thing. It's the same thing. I'm just saying. I saw a thing the other day getting passed around, this like child cloak, and it said on the tag, make sure you remove child before you wash this. And I'm thinking like, okay, well, I think so. But just so people are aware, no oils, no chlorine, and no washing machine, nothing else. Just warm water, no soap.
Wash
and then
all the
let
dead
it lay
ticks off
flat.
it.
Well, no. And,
Right.
all right. Well, I'm super excited about it. I would assume that most of your clientele is within the States. Is that where most of your clients are right now, or where are you selling to mostly?
Mostly in the U.S., yes.
And what is the time, like if somebody goes to the website to order a collar, how long does it normally take for you to make it and for it to arrive to their house and all that?
Listen, I can't control the post office. It's after I send them, I have no control over. But right now, the turnaround time is about a week to 10 days.
Great. That's awesome.
I'm assuming that these are custom size. You mail
we ordered.
in, you mail in
sent her
the neck size.
Yeah, I sent her the neck sizes. And I mean, that's just pretty simple for no one that's done that before. And I would assume most people in the dog sport world are pretty familiar with that. But if, somebody out there who's a pet dog client that's listening, that's like, I just bought one collar at Petco and it fit. You just take like that material, like soft tape, put
Take
it
a
around the
shoelace,
dog's neck, shoelace. Yeah, like it's very simple to get a neck measurement. You don't need 16 different measurements on the dog. Just check and see what's going to be best for their neck. And I see what you're saying about the adjustables, the break free and everything else versus the clip collars. I got them with buckles just so I could buckle them on. But the adjustables give you some grace there too, if the neck size isn't perfect, I would assume.
Absolutely. And you would be surprised how off some of the neck sizes are. That I get. So, and I do sell pre-made ones on the website too, which are primarily these friendship ones because they have the most adjustability out of all.
Yeah, I like those ones. So the
and
friendship.
they're also the lightest. So if you have a dog, like a double-coated dog, like my Elkhound, they tend to get the fur compressed.
Yeah.
It's going to be the lightest out of all of the.
Get less wrapped into it and less tangled in. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. And then you're doing some vending in person also. So if you guys are listening, I know that not everyone that listens and watches lives in New England, but if you guys are in the area, tell us about some shows that you'll be vending at the rest of 2022 in case people happen to be there and they can check you out.
So right now I only have 2 scheduled, which is there's a cruising canine agility trial in Robbinsville, New Jersey, August 13th and 14th. And then there's a barn hunt trial also in Robbinsville, New Jersey, September 24th. They do a big show in Freehold, New Jersey at the end of September, beginning of October that I'm probably vending at also. And then I just sort of, hit like fast cats and disc trials close to the date. So I don't necessarily know about those ahead of time.
Yeah, no, that's great. But if you guys have not heard of this company before, I was really excited when it was recommended to me, and multiple people recommended Lisa to me and her Natural Dawg Shop and everything else. And again, it's naturaldawgshop.com, and that's dog DAWG. And the other thing I wanted to mention is when you sent me the collars, it was so great. You sent me this little lint roller too, and I was like, oh, this is so handy. But when I was reading, you actually were suggesting that I use a lint roller on the dogs.
Yes.
Yeah, which is super smart. I honestly have never done that. I've force dried before. Like I've come back from hikes and force dried to see if any ticks fly off. I'm constantly doing checks and, I'm pre-spraying and everything else. But I had truly never used a lint roller before. So I thought, it's so great. I have one for my clothes. It's actually for the dogs. And I don't know if everybody gets one. I'm not trying to do a spoiler alert, but I just thought it was a great idea. And it's perfect dog size. So
I can use it on my beard to get all the dog hair off my face.
Or the food, yeah.
Right.
But literally, what were you going to say?
It's great for hiking, right? Because you don't want to take the ticks in the car.
Yes.
So I lint roller them before I put them in the truck.
I think it's brilliant. And I hadn't done it before. And again, it's not Lisa saying, buy my EM collar. You'll never see another tick on your dog ever again. It's another tool to help our dogs hopefully not get some sort of tick-borne illness. But yes, still do your checks. Still go back a few days afterward and check on your dogs and use your lint roller, use your force dryer, use your things that work. But if these super cute little ceramics can help my dog, I'm all about it. So we're trying it out this next season.
Yeah, and we did get the Lyme vaccine for our dogs early on. And they advertise this Lyme vaccine that if your dog gets Lyme, the company will pay for the treatment to get your dog. And of course, my dog had anaplasmosis, didn't have Lyme, but had another tick-borne. So there's so many different tick-borne illnesses
and there's fallout,
that they can get,
There's fallout with all of, the different stuff that you choose for your dogs, and it's everybody's own course. But some people don't think much of it because a young dog that has anaplasmosis or even Lyme sometimes just clears it, or just a round of, antibiotics clears it. But it's until you've heard the stories of a friend, or you watch this news story or something else, like, these tick-borne illnesses can get really, really expensive. They can get really, really life-threatening. And if a little collar that's cute like this, that one that I can match with my dog, I didn't even know about this friendship bracelet thing. I feel so unprepared. Then go for it. Try it. Why not? And it's a very affordable price point.
If you have a dog that has immune issues, then it's certainly you want to do everything you can. Because like my dog got the anaplasmosis, but he's asymptomatic. He really doesn't have any problem. In fact, when we tried to treat it proactively, he had a worse reaction to the doxy than if we had done nothing.
Yeah.
So
and you never know. It's each case is going to be separate and everything, but we are always looking out for the newest and the greatest, and we spray yards with Wondercide, and we do all the extra things. But I have gotten enough credible testimonials, really, outside of knowing Lisa or speaking to Lisa, from people that have used these and have heard of these, and they were like, oh my God, check these out, like these are the way to go. So is there anything that we missed that we should talk about in relation to these EM collars or your company that we didn't touch on today?
I don't think so. I do make them for cats also.
Oh, good. Perfect. Oh, that's good to know.
Which, especially for cats that go outside, it has the quick release.
Perfect. I love that.
So, and I actually had a woman near me who owns a farm who ordered a bunch of those for her goats.
Oh my God. That is so, it almost is a good way to tell different, can puppies wear them or no?
Yes, absolutely.
It almost is a good setup for a lab litter or something, right? Like you all have the colors anyway, so why not just freaking protect the puppies from the get-go? And I don't know, I'm overstretching here, but maybe these microorganisms give them more protection. And when Scott mentioned the good immune systems versus not, I do want to say too, if your dog is more prone to sickness and everything else, they may be more prone to reacting to one of the more, pesticidal topical type of things. So take more concern with those things. If they're more reactive to vaccines or something else, then maybe look into these collars for sure. But I love them. And the cat segment is a whole nother thing. How many people want friendship bracelets with their cat?
And the cats are so cooperative. I mean, they just love to work with you. You
only need to put it on and then you just leave it on for a year. I do have one last question. If people wanted to put a tag or something on, is that lowering the effectiveness of it? So that's okay. It's just like a tag that would hang off of one of these paracord points.
No, that's fine.
Okay. All right. So I'm just thinking the cat, like Scott's saying, no cat's going to walk around with two freaking collars. But if you already have a collar on your cat.
And usually there's plenty of room near where it closes for you to put a tag on.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, I'm super pumped about them, you guys. We're heading into another heavy tick season. The sooner you order, the sooner you get them on the dogs, the more protection the dogs hopefully have. And we just want our dogs to live as happily and healthy as long as they possibly can. And if these cute things are going to help, we're all about it. What do you think, Chrissy? You going to get one for Murphy? Mm-hmm. All right. Chrissy's from Australia. She's always into this super holistic stuff, too. So we'll get Murphy, our little Brittany.
In Australia, they just cover their dog with mud.
This whole show should have just been about mud. Come on.
If these get muddy, make sure you wash the water off. All right. Thank you so much for your time, Lisa. Go and check her out if you're going to see her at any of these in-person vendings. And again, click the link below to check out the Effective Microorganisms collar for your own dogs. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great Wednesday.
Good talking with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep it quirky.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.